I'll just tip you drink or something subtle. Is that ready? Are we actually recording?
Yeah, we recorded.
Oh, that's getting cut out. That's gonna get rinsed, that bit.
Oh, let's go.
All
Man.
right, so we're back. We're back. Lockdown series, episode 4.
Yeah.
We're smashing these out, and we have Rosie Harte. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Doing pretty well, I'd say. Well, what are we, day 7 now? I've lost count of days. All the days are the same for me, but I've not found the lockdown too bad yet. Luckily enough for me, I've got a little gym in the house, so I've been able to keep busy with that. And a little garden. I've been going out with my dogs. I've been keeping same.
Cool.
How about you? How's things changed for you over this lockdown?
So I was kind of like moving towards having a life a little bit like this anyway. Not all of the not all of the things that we're going through, but because I have this new business set up, the YOYO-OM, I really needed a lot of time just at home, just sat with my business partner and working. So probably over the last like 2-3 months, I've been kind of gearing towards just being at home and working from home and being sort of on lockdown, focused on building. So I'd say like the last 2 weeks, it's not really felt any different, really, for me. And it's kind of allowed me to have space and that time to focus on all the things that I wanted to build. But I do feel like the next few weeks, you know, it's going to start to feel a little bit more repressive, you know, and not quite having the freedom to do all the things you want to do. But mainly at the moment, the biggest thing that it's impacted for me is that I wanted to go traveling. So like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Not going anywhere yet. So yeah, just but yeah, just like keeping, like I don't really do training or anything anymore now, like gym work. So again, that's something for me that I don't feel like I'm impacted in that way, because I'd already stopped training. And like over the last year, I've kind of been purposefully stripping so many things away, like what is necessary in my life. Who am I? You know, all these sort of identities that we attach to that can keep you locked, keep you stuck. And when something like this happens, it's really important to be flexible and be able to kind of move with it and not feel like you're kind of pushing against it. So yeah, I feel like, you know, mentally and emotionally in a really good place for all of this. I feel like I've put myself through some sort of camp ready for it.
Nice.
So what is your new business for people that don't know?
Yeah, so the new business is with my friend who I live with, and she's also an IFBB pro, Claire McGrath. So we met each other around 2015 when we were both bodybuilding. And so we were like right in the thick of the bodybuilding world. And then we both came out of it at the same time and started to see maybe some of like the less positive things about it, about the bodybuilding and about the extremes of it. And I guess when we stop bodybuilding, when you stop bodybuilding after you've done it, especially for me, I did it for such a long time, your kind of eyes are opened up to a new world. So we both had this vision of creating a platform that was there to help people on all levels. So instead of just being about the physical, and instead of just being about someone wanting to look a certain way, someone wanting to get abs, someone wanting to get like prove themselves through this kind of aesthetic form, it was much deeper. So it was like around the emotional state, energetic, So all the work we do now is helping people kind of connect to their intuition. So if we're working with people with food, we don't set any one thing like diets like you would do with bodybuilding. So we don't really kind of advocate giving someone like a set meal plan. This is how much you should eat. This is what you should eat at this time. So it's about educating people and empowering people in all areas of their life. So it's not just about food, it's everything. We look at childhood trauma, emotional trauma, sort of anything that's kind of blocking someone in their life moving forward. We have got many skills, many modalities to help them push forward. So yeah, just like connecting people to their purpose, allowing them to tune into what it is they're really here to do, what they want to do with their life. Who are they? Like, we work with a lot of mums, and they kind of take on this identity of being a mum, and then they kind of lose who they are and anything else that is possible or the potential for them outside of that role. So we'll notice running themes of people that kind of live a certain way, and they have this emotional stress going on, but it kind of manifests in physical pain or physical ailments, and people are just not connecting those physical problems to the emotional stuff they're going through. So everybody's seeking help to lose body fat, to get rid of the cellulite on the bum or whatever it is, to get rid of the migraines, to get rid of the anxiety, but they're not looking at the core of the problems that are causing these things. So it's just like sticking a Band-Aid over all of the surface stuff, all of the symptoms. So everything we do is going to the core, looking at the truth of everything that's going on for that person, cutting away all the bullshit, cutting away all the beliefs that don't serve them. And yeah, just allowing people to really fulfill their potential.
Wow, that's like really deep. Like, do you know what? Now more than ever, for me anyway, when I look around, I see that people are looking definitely for a sense of purpose in what they're doing. And as well, now in this time that we're at, I think people are lost more than anything with the amount of information that's out there on how to do things. So like you say, following a diet for whatever reason, but it's getting down to the core of why that person wants to do that certain thing and realizing if truly they're deep inside them, that's what they're wanting. So
yeah.
Do you know, for you, is it through your own, do you feel like through your own experience? I know you've come on before and we've talked about this on the podcast of what you've done to be where you are today. But have you, is there a big market for that? Have you had people, you said you've had mums, is there any male people that have come to you also for this type of work?
We have had a few men coming, but it's definitely more women that we're attracting. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, whether it's because we're women ourselves or maybe the kind of marketing message we put out seems to kind of appeal to more women. I mean, I know there is a lot of men that are struggling with, you know, their relationship with food and body image and all that kind of thing as well. Maybe it's a little bit harder for them to reach out and ask for help. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But we would love to work with men as well. But yeah, at the moment, it seems to be very much predominantly women that are coming to us. But I just absolutely love it. We love what we're doing. You know, just having, because we'll do, everything's online that we do. Mm-hmm. And we do the weekly call with the client on Skype or WhatsApp.
So you've not really been affected by the virus so much so then? So you've still been able to work through and
nice. Yeah, we've been really fortunate with, like I say, it's like, because I've been gearing towards setting all this up, it's kind of timing wise for me with this business, it's kind of a fortunate position. And everybody that we have on, all of the clients, they have been able to stay on. So currently they've not been impacted financially, but like, who knows what the next few weeks and months will hold for people.
Yeah, so when you were saying about where the business came from. He was talking about like the bad sides of bodybuilding. Can you actually go into that and explain it to us too? Because we really don't have any visibility inside a bodybuilding culture or environment. So if you can kind of break that down for us, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many amazing things that I got out of it, and so much that I learned. And it's kind of like, I think in life you have to go to the absolute extreme with something to see the polarities in something, and to kind of bounce back completely the other way. So it's perhaps that I had to take it to such an extreme with the bodybuilding to get to where I am, to really see so clearly, you know, another way, a more effective way of living. And with the bodybuilding, it just became clear to me, and Claire, like where the kind of desire had come from to start bodybuilding in the first place. So a lot of all of the decisions we make as we're going through life will come from something, you know, that's molded us as a child. So all the beliefs and the programs that we have set in place from like birth to age 8 or whatever it is, that kind of can shape us for the decisions we make. So with bodybuilding, I wasn't aware at the time, but I was, because I lost my dad when I was 1 year old. I then had this thing playing out in my life where I was seeking male attention, seeking that male energy into my life. You know, there was a void there. And also because there was a lot of repressed trauma around that, and around growing up with a family that was very, very heavily full of grief. But you can't really deal with it when you're a child. You don't know how to deal with it. So you create these coping mechanisms, which creates a split, you know, in your psyche. So then it's like there was a lot of sadness and a lot of weakness inside me. So then it's like this constant battle to try and become strong, to be strong and to be positive. So my patterns throughout my whole life were to be positive, to always be laughing, to always be happy. That was my coping mechanism, and to be strong. So bodybuilding is like the ultimate manifestation of that in physical form. And you create this physical armor. I am strong, but inside you've still got all this stuff going on. So for me, it was just like becoming aware of all that. And then I had to let go of all of these identities, all of these armors, and tune into the sadness inside me, and tune into the parts of me that I'd repressed and that needed hearing and looking at and releasing. So I didn't have to seek these things for attention. I didn't have to be the best bodybuilder in the world anymore. Like that all of a sudden just didn't seem to be something that was running through me, because I could see where that need came from. So when I was taking it to that extreme, because I was not looking at all of those traumas and energetic blocks inside me, it's like I was just taking it to the absolute extreme. Like, do you see me now? Am I good enough now? So it's like I was willing to do all these crazy things, like with steroids, with all these different drugs, completely not listening to my gut instincts, completely not listening to my heart or my intuition anymore. So I would be doing things that made me feel bad inside. You can feel it. You can feel your body contract, can't you? You know, when you're doing something and you know really, like, it's not good for you, or it's not really something that you're aligned with. So I was doing that constantly. And then again, it starts to manifest in disease and illness. So I was getting a lot of gut problems. I was getting the side effects from the steroids. I was having like my hair falling out, all these different things. And also just getting further and further away from maybe a life that was more aligned with my kind of soul purpose. because I was so far away from listening to the inner child or the inner voice, the intuition, and just living off these, living off the pains and the fears and the internal things that hadn't been listened to.
Wow. What was was there actually like a breaking point? Was there like a light bulb moment?
For stopping?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was last year in the March, I think, after I did my last competition. And when you are still aligned with something, when you're still getting growth from something, and like we'll call it flow, when you're in flow, you'll find that things are actually quite easy still, or things just kind of slip into place for you. Mm-hmm. You know, it'll be challenging. Like the bodybuilding was always challenging, but it would be like I'd still be able to get out of bed and do that cardio and put myself through those sort of physical challenges, but I wouldn't be ill, and I never got any injuries or anything like that because you're kind of in flow. And then the last 2-3 years, I wasn't in flow. I wasn't listening to my body. I wasn't listening to my soul and what that wanted. And I was kind of, because I was so locked into that identity of Rosie Rascal, the bodybuilder, and proving myself. It was like that's when I was out of flow, but still doing that same thing. So your kind of soul's trying to go that way, or whatever you want to call it. And your body's kind of going that way, following this path that's totally against it. So I just started getting more and more illness, more and more unhappy. The bodybuilding just became so hard. It was like living in a depression, just like I'd just be sat outside the gym crying, like before I had to go and train, just like I didn't want to do it. So when I did my last competition, because I didn't qualify for the Olympia again, thankfully, like I just knew it was time to bow out, because the girls were getting bigger, they were getting more ripped, they're willing to do things with their bodies that I just was not willing to do. I'd already had 15 years of it, and I could just feel like it was going to kill me. And, you know, that's not over dramatic. If I'd have carried on, it would have killed me, whether that was from a physical ailment or from like the mental regret of carrying on and doing something that was like irreversible for my health. So yeah, it was just after that competition, I remember I opened up a bottle of red wine and said to my ex-partner, I was like, oh yeah, I'm done. That's it. I'm done. And it was like such an easy decision. Mm-hmm. And he was so shocked.
And you've not trained since then, or do you keep any aspect of training at all as part of your routine in life, or have you just completely cut it out?
Yeah, so I carried on. I actually had about 3 months off training then. Then I went back to doing a little bit. And then because I was working at 1RM as well with Ricky and all of those guys in Leeds, it was, I guess, because if you're still in that world and you're still working in the gym, you're still kind of in that identity a little bit. And kind of if you're training your clients, it feels like you want to at least be kind of practicing what you're preaching or what you're teaching, to some extent. And like if you're going in there wearing little leggings and stuff, you want to look like you want to kind of have a body that the client's inspired by, I guess. But this became more and more, again, just something that I just wasn't aligned with, like doing something just for the aesthetic, training just to look a certain way. For who? For what? Like, I'm not saying for me to go out there and just get overweight and completely let go of my physical body and stop taking care of myself. But it was just for me to be questioning why I was doing things. Like, is it Was it to look a certain way for men, for them to be attracted to me? And then it's like, okay, so what kind of man am I attracting? Am I attracting the kind of man that I want if that's what they see in me and that's the thing that they are gonna be interested in me for, and that's not. So for me, like if I want to do something physical, I want to do something that is like I'm really drawn to. So I want to be dancing. I love to stretch. I love doing yoga. I like walking outside because I want to be out in nature, trying new things. So it's like I still want to be physical, but for me, it's important to know what energy is driving that activity and what is my intention. And is there some sort of blind spot that I'm kind of not aware of when I'm doing something, and it's creating a behavior that is not effective for me.
Do you know what I can, like, my journey so far in my life, I can like kind of relate to that. So early on in my life, I played like professional basketball, and I've always had this mindset of go 100% at everything that I do, not necessarily looking at what I'm doing, but I just know I need to work my ass off, and that needs to be it. And in this, I don't know, in this age that we're living in now, I think people would definitely, like, they need to self-reflect, and that's something we don't do enough. And like you say, ask why was I doing that? What's the intention between why did I do something, do you know? And like doing this myself, like I've realized with the gym a lot of the times, like when I was younger and I was working out, it was to try like a little big, I want big arms, I want, you know, people to give me nice comments because to look a certain way. But then you realize, well, I realized anyway, it's not sustainable. Like eventually you stop going, you're not going to do that forever. You've got to find the reason of why you're actually doing. And that can be a shift, you know, like you say, it doesn't have to be in a gym lifting weights. It can be outside in nature, walking, climbing, like doing different types of activities that has the same, I don't know, like kind of same movements, but different things. That's cool.
And it's like you say, it's about, is what I am doing sustainable? Am I an effective human? It's like with everything that's going on now, when you kind of get locked into something like the gym, what do you do when that's taken away from you? Can you still survive? Like I know a lot of people use the gym to keep them mentally sane. And like I am a believer in physical toughness, creating mental toughness. You know, to have that, being able to kind of do something that's tough kind of proves to you that you can get through something, you can get through a challenge. So I'm kind of all for that, but it's like if you're relying on a gym and lifting all these mad weights, and then you have to fuel your body with all this food, and you have to eat every 2 hours, and you're getting a little strop because you can't get your chicken. It's like that is not resilience. It's not mental toughness. If you can't then be flexible and still stay sane up here without that particular way of exercising. So it's like when all the gyms got shut down, and I understand it's like, it's hard for people if, you know, if someone's had depression or whatever, and the gym is the thing that feels like it was their savior. I understand that it feels like kind of desperate times to not have that place and that community and all that kind of thing. But it's like, can you transfer the skills that you've learned through that weightlifting and through that exercise into something else? Not just be locked into that.
Yeah, I think that's when we get stuck, that's when problem starts to come out, right? So when we can't do something, we moan about it, and you can have a pity party and nothing good comes out of it.
Yeah, it's like just being flexible. It's like with food as well. You know, like if there was rations or whatever, like if people couldn't get all the food they wanted, it's like, can people start to drop away some of the patterns they have with food? Like you'll get a lot of people that will use food for a crutch, for like an emotional crutch. So it's like in this time, it's so good to look at all these things that we have in our lives that are just soothing and keeping us sane, but they're not really, they're keeping us insane, because they're not allowing us to actually look at our shit on a deeper level, because we're constantly using these things to just keep us afloat. Got to get to the gym, got to eat, got to eat this big cake or this bar of chocolate or whatever at the night, got to have some alcohol, got to have these drugs. It's like, how many of these things in our lives can we let go? And yeah, that they're the kind of things that, like, I've been working on and dropping away for a while. So it's kind of interesting for me to be in this position now, because it's just like, okay, cool, what else can I let go? What else, like, until you've just got I don't know, it's just like nothing left, just stood outside in nature. But yeah, it's just all these things that we're kind of just so busy working, busy distracting ourselves, eating, training, all this stuff. And it's like kind of right now allowing us to just be a little bit more still and a little bit calmer and like face up to some stuff.
That's what I was going to ask you, is what can people do, that people that are listening, how can they actually use this time productively? We've been saying it to nearly everyone, actually. Like it's a common topic, and people want to know, like, people are stressed, like, what do I do now? I've got, like, people are getting like put on like working at home, reduced hours or whatever. So unprecedented situation, but unprecedented amount of free time. Probably may never happen again.
Yeah.
How can you use this? Obviously, you're saying you've got a head start on everyone. You've already been stripping stuff back, but now everyone's kind of forced to, like, they're just at home with their own thoughts. And
yeah, like I say, there's no choice, is it?
An interesting time. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. I guess it's a time to get to know yourself. Like for me, it feels important to just sit. I mean, a lot of people have got no choice but to sit with themselves, but just to kind of sit. And I know for a lot of people it's going to feel quite desperate and lonely and kind of confusing. But and I guess for some people it's going to be a case of they want to just keep busy. They can't, they're not in a position, or they don't have the support around them or the tools around them to start looking at things on a deep level, maybe. So it's like whatever you can fuel yourself with for it to be something that makes you healthier. So it's like, if you're sat in, what are you eating? What are you going for the drink? Like, it's not, we all know it's these things might soothe you for a little bit, but you're not going to feel great. So it's like keeping the food. It's like a time for, especially if you are with family as well, like taking the time to make really nice meals together and sitting down and eating these healthy meals. And if you can get outside into nature, going out, reading, like having a little think about what it is you actually really want from your life. Like, you can look now at all these things. You've got this time to kind of look at all the things that you were doing and see how fickle it all is. Like people kind of working towards these big, I've got this business, or I'm working towards earning all this money, and it's like, it's all just like, it can be just like a house of cards, the lot of it. So what is still stood standing at the end of it? Like who you are, your purpose, and what could change, what things can be let go of, what things don't seem important anymore. So it's like all the things that were driving you before, like having a nice car or like looking a certain way, do they seem as important anymore? So if you realign like maybe you've got new beliefs now. So it's like sitting down and writing what your beliefs are. writing down your values in life, writing down, having a little sit and think, like feel into your what it is you want to do with your life. Like, are you doing it? If you're not, what is it you want to do? Like, people are so detached from themselves, they don't even know what they want to do. So it's like we have this time now without all this noise to kind of sit and like maybe think back to some of the things that used to kind of feel more appealing, but it felt like, oh no, well, I can't do that because I've got to do this safe job. Well, kind of turns out none of these jobs are safe. You know, so we have a choice to do a heel spin if we want, and create a whole other direction.
Yeah, you're right about the whole House of Cards thing. Like, it just proves that. We were saying when I think it was Neil he was saying, like, no one cares now. Like, you can't go and dress up in like £700 trainers and £400 t-shirt and £800 jeans. Everyone's roaming around in like tracksuit bottoms and
now look at my
pajamas
and camo.
Yeah.
So like we were saying, like there's no crutches. There's no crutches at all. You can't hide anywhere now.
I think it's going to be an interesting time after to see how people come out the other side of this as well. Like you say, like now, people are going to, by force, people are going to have to self-reflect. I think if this is going the way it's going, and people are going to be stuck in their houses for a few more weeks, 3, 4, we don't know how long. Like, you are going to get to a point where you're going to get bored of the things that you're doing, and like, I don't know, I think the soul always craves for something, you know, whether that's going out, exercising, or eating a bag of chips, you know, it's going to crave to try and get something. And
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what that brings out of people.
Yeah, and it's also like something keeps cropping up about like personal responsibility. And it's like I get the kind of the personal responsibility of like that community feel, and you know, making sure that everyone is doing all right, and you know that there's not someone that's kind of really struggling, and we're just kind of only focusing on ourselves, you know, trying not to be selfish. But also, like, for me, the personal responsibility lies in the way that we feel. So like on an energetic level, to not be allowing ourselves to be living in a fear state. You know, what can we do to change our state? That's like a personal responsibility as well, even while we're just sat here at home, because it's like so many people aren't kind of tuned into the way that humans are formed and the way we work on this energetic level, and that we're all just energy. Like we just see ourselves as this kind of matter and physical form. But if you kind of, I would really recommend for people to do a little bit of research into people like Bruce Lipton, also Wim Hof. You probably know Wim Hof, yeah. So just looking at what we are capable of on a cellular level, and the way that we feel can change our state, change our vibration, change the frequency that we radiate at and the broadcast we send out. So it's like a personal responsibility to create the state that we want in the world, that we want to raise. And again, you can do that with the food you eat, with the beliefs you hold, the feelings that you have, going into meditation, spending more time out in nature, all these things, doing the breath work. And it's like, again, if you look at the stuff that Wim Hof talks about, and if you look at it on a science level, you know, people will kind of hear you say, oh, like, do some breath work. And it's like, what the fuck's gonna, like, what's that gonna do to like save this sort this crisis out? But it's like things like changing our breath and changing our feelings at our core it can create such a change, you know, in our bodies and the broadcast that we send out then. And it's on a science level. It's all things that's been proven scientifically with quantum physics, quantum mechanics. So yeah, like I would highly recommend that people start kind of looking into that kind of thing. What are we? What are we made up of? What are we capable of? It's like things with illness. If you look at Bruce Lipton's work, The Biology of Belief, you know, this guy is an absolute legend, the work that he's done. And the way that our beliefs, the way that we perceive the world, you know, is the way that we then create our own reality. The way we perceive it is then the way that our body feels, the emotion, the energy that we have inside us, that then creates the reality we want to see. So it's cool.
No, definitely. Like I'm kind of on that wave as well anyway as a person.
Yeah.
And in my way of thinking, like I've always felt like everything that I've had, I've kind of got here in my own way, so to say. Like I've had a say on everything that I've been through so far. But no, it's definitely interesting, and it's definitely, like, I think it's super cool to hear that people are doing that close to home. You know, a lot of this stuff I always hear about, you know, people in America doing this kind of things. You know, when you always say the word energy, like a lot of the time people get scared here and they're like, oh, what? This is mystic, you know, pseudoscience. And it's like, it seems to be a lot more open in the US, where, anyway, that's where I see a lot more of these discussions seems to be taking place. But it's nice to see that it's happening here locally.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mad. It's mad to me that we're not educated on this.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't know what we are. The people don't know what we're made up of.
When clients first get in touch with you, and you kind of break that sort of stuff down to them, what's the reaction like?
I would say most of our clients are kind of, I guess they're kind of attracted to us because they're already coming towards that way of thinking. Whether they quite know it yet on that level, you know, that's another matter. They might not kind of understand it in as much depth, but they tend to be open. And also, like, when people are really struggling and they might have tried so many different things already, like, they're open to something new. Because we'll work with people that, like, we have one client who has her degree in psychology. She's done all the work that, you know, to help her with different problems, different issues. None of it worked. We have clients that have been to counsellors, to psychologists, to been in and out of hospital for various things going on. None of it's working. So what's the missing link? And it's the feeling that's missed out. It's the, you know, the energy that it creates, depending on what emotional state and what feeling you have in your body. So yeah, most are open to it. And I guess we have the, you know, we use the tools that we feel are right for them. So it's not like, you know, like some of the stuff we would do is like neuro-linguistic programming. Some of the stuff we do is psychology based. Some stuff we do is like hypnosis. Some stuff is much more like shamanic, energetic work, childhood trauma release. So it's like there's different layers to it, and we don't necessarily just go in and be like, right, now we're going to go into some shamanic ritual. So it's like building and seeing what someone's open to, because again, it's like if someone doesn't have a belief in something, it's never going to work anyway for them. They have to really, you have to believe in what you're doing for it to actually work.
No, like the placebo effect, isn't it? Like, you need to believe it for it for you to believe whether it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
But James, what do you think about this kind of stuff? Like, about this type of work? Have you come across things like this before, or content like this before, or anything like this on the internet?
I've definitely read about it before, but then it's like the only closest thing I could say is like always, like I've always felt like my life will go in a positive direction subconsciously, and I've always felt it inside me, and it has. That's like my
and carrying
so
that belief
that
around, I feel helps, right?
And the way that you perceive the world definitely then goes back out there. It must do, for sure.
Yeah.
It must.
Yeah, it does. It actually does, yeah. And it's like for so long with things like disease, we were kind of led to believe that we had no control over, you know, what would happen to our fate of our bodies. So it's like it was all kind of based on genetics and DNA. So like if you had breast cancer in your family, it'd be like, oh, well, it's genetic, so that's why the daughter's got it and the grandma and whatever. But it's like they did more studies, and the in the cells there's, I think it's like 50% protein, 50% of the DNA. And when they've been doing the study at first, they were just taking the protein out and not even looking at it. They were just like studying the DNA. But then they found out that the protein that was in the cell was actually like a little receptor. Mm-hmm. So it was a receptor to whatever we experienced from our perception. Mm-hmm. So like if you were scared of tigers, that's going to have a certain impact on your body and the response, you know, the biological response of your body, and then what hormones it's going to set off and what feeling and emotion that's going to create. Whereas if I had no fear of tigers, I'm going to see one and it's going to create a completely different response within my body. Mm. So it's however we perceive a situation that creates these energetic blocks in our bodies and creates these certain feelings, whether it's like anger, fear, you know, these low vibration feelings, or whether we have joy, love, or high vibration, where it's like vitality. So illness cannot live in that state.
Do you know, just to touch on something as well, like you said before, I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza before.
Yeah.
But he talks about the same thing. He broke his back, you know, came back from, you know, basically teaching himself how to walk again, making his physical connections. And he talked about what you said before, you know, being in stress and the impact of what that has on the body physically. Could you talk about that a bit more? So what are the physical impact of, you know, being...
what are you going through stress?
Yeah, so being mentally stressed and what physical ailment there are to that.
I mean, so like so much, it's like if you're stressed, I guess you've got all your different hormones that it's gonna set off. So it's got your things like your cortisol, insulin. So if you've got your stress hormone cortisol, if you're in a stress state, that's going to be chronically flowing out, and then that can impact things like your gut function. So you're not going to digest your food properly. Mm-hmm. So like any food that you eat, it's potentially not going to get, the bacteria is not going to be removed properly. So you're going to end up with like parasites, inflammation, because your stomach can't break down the food properly. Then you're going to get like high blood sugar levels, which is toxic to the body. All your hormones can come out of balance. So all your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen for women, so infertility, all these different things that can be going on. So yeah, on that kind of level, there's all sorts of stuff that can be created. So it's like if people are getting thyroid issues and then they're going to the doctor and it's like, oh, you've got a thyroid issue, take this. But it's like not dealing with the thing that's causing them stress. And it's like maybe the thing that's causing them stress is their belief system. So if they're in a job that's causing them a lot of stress, but there's another person there in that same job and they're totally fine, what's causing the stress? Like it's their belief system that they hold. Not saying that they should just change the belief system and stay in the job. Maybe they're in the wrong job. Maybe they're not living aligned with their purpose, like I was talking about earlier.
But you
it's
definitely
like all
see
these
it.
things.
Yeah, I think you definitely see it as well. Like I think there's different stages of it. Like I've worked in offices where this guy complained about working there for almost 10 years, and he's not done anything to change that step. But then day by day, you're moaning about. That's on the extreme end. But then there's so many things like that where people know they should be doing something different, but then we choose not to do the different thing.
Yeah, and it's like that's what I was talking about before. Now, like this perfect time now to kind of tune into that. It's like something I went through recently was even more trying to tune into my listening to my gut and my heart instead of like listening to this, because we've been very much like an age of information and knowledge and working from the mind, and especially like I very much, that was something that held a lot of weight for me, because all my family were very academic, are very, very academic, super intelligent. And that was, again, something that I always felt like I had to try and prove, to come across as intelligent. So I would listen from here a lot. So if I was to make a decision, it would come from like trying to be logical about it, or you might write a list of pros and cons, or you might actually be thinking, oh, what does that person think? How does this look? Oh, I want to make my mum proud, all this kind of thing. And over time, when you work from here too much, you forget to listen from here, and you forget to listen from your gut. So something that happened to me a few weeks ago was I made a decision, and I felt the little flinch here, or actually like in the gut, like to say no. But I made the decision from here and said yes. And it was like after that, really to tune in more and more to those little cues and signals that we get in our body, because you'll feel it here. Like if it's something that feels good, like that's giving you a sign. It's telling you there. You don't need to ask up here. So like for me, the more and more I can choose from there. And it's not like from a place of avoiding pain or challenge or anything like that. Like all emotions are welcome. All of those messages, all of those things. Like if you're feeling down about something, feeling sad, it's like to welcome that in and see what it's trying to tell you, and sit in that, not to try and run away from it. But yeah, if you are trying to find your purpose, and if you're trying to figure out what the next move is, it's a pretty good thing to do to tune back into making decisions from here.
Is
if that makes any sense.
Where you can kind of silence yourself a little bit? Like, is meditation like a good place to start? Is there like a little starter pack for people that they can?
Yeah, for sure.
Take some small steps.
Yeah, like this is all the stuff that me and Claire do. Like Claire's been a yoga teacher and meditation and breathwork coach for over 10 years. So she's like highly, highly tuned in with all of this. But yeah, anything, the more you can be with yourself, the more you get to know yourself when you're just quiet. So like, this is why this time is so perfect, because you can sit and just be quiet and meditate. And you can sit, there's these breathwork techniques as well that we do. I posted some of it the other day, and it's called the monkey breath. But there's all these different techniques you can do to change your state. And it's basically like the monkey breath is really good because it gets you out of here. So anything you can do to get yourself out of this state and into your subconscious, then you're going to be much more dialed into different messages that are coming from a more intuitive place. But you can do, there's all sorts of different like meditations you can do, like hypnosis to just try and tune back into the body. it's like when you know that you're starting to kind of go into the head and like asking too many questions, or there's like noise, you know, you're getting further away from the truth of what you need to do. So yeah, just anything you can do to kind of get back into the body. Breath work's amazing.
And is that kind of content as well available on your channels for listeners to go to and find?
Yeah, we have all the different breathwork techniques. We have a big yoga series, different meditations, different hypnosis tapes, and we do like individual ones as well for people. So once we get to know what someone's issue is or whatever their sticking point is, we can kind of create something that's packaged for them with precision. But yeah, it is all available.
Nice.
Love it. So we're coming up to the last 10 minutes of the podcast. We've got a few set questions that we're asking all our guests. So, okay. James, I'll let you kick off with number one.
All right, man.
I was putting you on the spot these days.
You know what? I should save him somewhere else because it's just in that group chat.
Yeah, we
fucked it. Oh, do you know what? I know what the first question is.
Go on.
So it's a lockdown series. So pick any two people to be locked down with. It can be dead or alive.
Okay.
Worse or better or worse.
Well, I think I will. Actually, I won't think. I will feel into this one, and it would definitely be my best mate Claire, who I actually live with.
Oh.
So I'm kind of halfway there already. And then the other person would be my brother.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Because we would just have an absolute scream, and there'd be like a ton of healthy food, there'd be yoga, there'd be laughs. Yeah, it'd be like my perfect little combo.
Nice.
Awesome.
If you could recommend one book to our listeners to read or listen to during this lockdown, what is it?
So at the moment, I'm reading one, or it's an audio book by Ram Dass, and it's called Experiments in Truth. I guess this is a little bit more down the spiritual path for anyone that is kind of wanting to seek some answers from that kind of path. There's another book as well, which is, I guess, a little bit more, it's called If This Is a Man by Primo Levi. And that's a little bit more like reading about a pretty somber time for someone and just the way this guy kind of got through such hard times. So like if that's a little bit more down the line of what someone feels they need, like a bit of inspiration that way, two different books there.
Cool. All right. What's the first thing you're going to do when all this is over?
So I really want to because I want to go traveling. So I would hope that as soon as this is over, I can just book my tickets to go with Claire, either to India or over to Colombia. So I will be getting on the laptop. Obviously, I want to go and see my mum and my brother and go listen to some live music and have a dance and all that kind of thing. But yeah, just get the flights booked.
Oh,
nice.
And the last question is, be good if I knew it. So one goal that you have, do you have a goal or a challenge that you've set yourself during this time of isolation at all?
I guess for me, and Claire, it's like creating all the content and the platform, because we'll be opening like a members section on our website. So it's like while this is on, just to kind of get all of the videos made, all of the audio books, we have like different books that we're writing. So to just have all of that done and ready. So when we're ready to travel, we have everything set up and we're good to go. So, but on like a personal level, my goal is to kind of become like as clear as possible in myself, as clear a channel as possible, like physically, energetically, so that it's like what I am for my clients, like I'm the kind of best possible tool, you know, to kind of channel through whatever I'm doing for helping other people. So the best version of me, the clearest channel, the most effective human, just to kind of work on all of those kind of things constantly every day. That's it.
Boom, love it. And for our listeners as well, if they want to go back and check out the episode with Rosie, she came on. It was episode 60, so make sure to go out and go check that out. But Rosie, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks for coming on, and look forward to catching up with you soon. And if you stay on as well, we'll have a quick chat with you as well after the podcast.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Boom.
Yes.
Bye-bye.